Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fly Free Bird Podcast. I am very excited to have my very good friend Christine on today.
Hi.
Hi, Christine.
Hello.
I call her Ohms, and she calls me Ohms. Sometimes it's Ohmsy, depending on the day. But we met in yoga teacher training in 2018. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to have you on to just share a bit of your story today.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and to start, it's like I've always admired your independence and your strength and just your approach on how you look at life. Mm-hmm. And that's partly the reason I want you here to just share and kind of tell the folks a little bit about the how and the why and all that stuff.
Sounds good.
So we will dive right in.
Okay.
So I'm sure you weren't I'm sure you were always awesome, but probably the way you look at life, probably hasn't always been the way you look at life as you do today.
Yeah.
So take me back to the time when you really felt like you weren't living your true, authentic self.
Okay. I would say, we talk a lot about as you age, as you get older, as you accumulate more years on this planet, you look back on things in a different way, and everything kind of builds on, what happened in the past. So I think it's just as you get older and better, you can look back on with more perspective on times when you weren't living your best self,
right,
from your heart. And so I would say that the most recent time that was happening for me, where I knew that I wasn't happy or in alignment with what I needed to be doing with my life, was probably just a little over 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was married.
Okay. Yeah.
You didn't know me then.
I didn't know you then.
It was a whole nother life. In fact, that's, looking back on life, you kind of have multiple lives, in my opinion. So that was in my life prior to this life that I'm living now. And I married, I was 30, so I should have known better. But I married someone who was... not very truthful. Mm-hmm. And kind of I got swept away in the story that he was telling, and it kind of all happened very quickly in the very beginning. And he was a lot younger. I mean, a lot. He was 4 years young. He is 4 years younger than I. Yeah. And so when we first met, I never in a million years would have thought that it was anything serious.
Okay.
And I had just recently, within 4 to 5 months prior to that, broken up with someone that I was with for 3.5 years.
Okay.
So when I met him, I was like, oh, well, this is going to be fun. We're just going to date and whatever. And within a couple of months, he was the one that was, very strongly pursuing me and saying that... we were soulmates and he could see this life together. And, when at almost 30, you kind of are in this frame of mind of that's what I should be doing.
Right.
Especially having ended that relationship for the prior one for 3.5 years. Some people say, oh, when you end a relationship that wasn't right, then you meet the new one, the one that is right, right away. So I sort of had those things in my mind. And, so it kind of accelerated very quickly. Right. We were engaged within 9 or 10 months of meeting. We were married 3 or 4 months later.
Oh,
so
wow. Yeah.
It was all it moved very fast. And at the time I was just kind of it was sort of an excitement. Right. And, turned out, within a year, 2 years, things started coming out. He had an alcohol problem.
Oh, okay.
Maybe still does. I don't know. We're not in contact really.
Right.
And, just various things he confessed one night he's addicted to porn, and I'm just
yeah.
What?
And how long was this after?
About 2 years.
That you've been in or married?
Married.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you had no idea.
Nope, I had no idea. I mean, once he said that, there was a lot of things that kind of made sense.
Yeah. Exactly.
But then I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what's addicted?
Right.
Basically, every time he was on his computer, it was...
Wow. I mean, I think that's a real problem, but
apparently, I don't know. I just can't... I can't really understand that. I've never been interested in that, but I agree. It's a big problem. And then there was just other things, that I just felt down the line that came out. I felt like he wasn't a good partner. He was only thinking of himself and like what would benefit him and make him happy. And I was part of that because I was also the breadwinner.
Right. He's like, I want her because she makes money and she's going to provide the life that I want. And then you're like, wait, what's in it for me? Right.
Ooh. And it comes down to little things like I've always kind of wanted someone who does protect me. Even though I'm a very strong woman, I feel like a man should be the man. I mean, I do, I believe in traditional roles to an extent.
Right.
And I believe that the man should be the protector and the provider, or at least contributor.
Right. Oh my God. Well, yeah. Jeez.
And so even little things like, when we were in public and sometimes he would just like take off and I would be by myself. And I just, there was just a lot of things.
Yeah. Wow.
And so over time, a lot of other things came out. And there was just one last straw in late 2013. And I was just like, click.
Yeah, this isn't gonna work.
I can't do this. Like, this is my life. And it had been 7 years that we were married.
Wow.
So I was very patient.
You put in a good 8 years then.
I put in a lot. And I'm a very loyal person. I give people a million chances. And it's not like I just, took marriage lightly or anything. And he gave me a lot of guilt for it.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. But I knew when I made that decision, I knew it was the right decision. It just took so much weight off myself.
Right.
So,
wow. So you just knew from that one incident at the end, after hanging on for so long, that you're like, I'm done. Yeah. There's no turning back.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's kind of how I've always been. I mean, I give people a lot of chances and a lot of, leeway and whatnot. Yeah. But if they go too far, I'm out. I'm done. And I don't look back. I've never regretted it.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there were times it was hard. Obviously, financially, it was hard.
Yeah.
Even though, it was still something that he was contributing some of the time. And so it was now I was completely left with a house and a dog and, debt.
Right. Oh, geez. Probably for providing for him,
and I had to pay him some too.
Like an alimony?
He wanted alimony, and I said,
"Oh my God,
effing way."
I think that's.
But
wild.
I did have to pay him out, half of my 401k and that kind of stuff. But
wow,
yeah. So
that's crazy.
That was the last time, and hindsight's 2020. Yeah. I look back, and there were so many signs.
Okay.
That I was just not living in I was not myself. I wasn't myself. Yeah. I look back on those years and it's kind of it's in a darkness.
Right.
And I didn't write because I've always been a writer, since I was a child, really.
Wow.
And for a lot of that time, I wasn't writing at all. Well, part of it was because he had read my journal several times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that breaks trust right there.
Totally broke trust.
Yeah.
So
did you catch him or did he tell you?
He told me. But I think it was 2 or 3 times. Wow. I think all the times he ended up telling me because he read something he didn't like.
Yeah.
Because journaling is for yourself, venting, going through your thoughts, trying to settle things in your mind. So it's not for anyone else to read. Right. It's really just not. It's to help you process. It helps me process. Right. And so he read things he didn't like and then was like,
oh, man.
Yeah. It was bad.
Wow.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of things just little things and big things too. But yeah, once I decided, I didn't look back, and we did the divorce in the shortest amount of time we could in California.
Okay, good.
And so it was 6 months and done. And
okay.
Yeah. I was obviously rebuilding a lot for a while.
Yeah.
Financially and emotionally.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So once you finally were done, he was out, like, what were the next steps that you really tried to, I guess, gain back yourself? Or find yourself, really?
So in the last, I don't know, probably a little less than a year that we were together, I had started writing again, and I was like, I don't care if he finds this and is mad, because this is part of me, and I need to do this for myself, for like my sanity and everything. And so that was a big step, and just, it was interesting actually going through, trying to refine the things that I was interested in. I remember I went to like a gardening class at Armstrong Garden Center one day. I think I was trying to do like one thing every week that I might be interested in, or just to like spend time, because there were a lot of months that I was alone, and I wouldn't say lonely, because I've never been a lonely person. I think that if you have things to do and if you have interests, you can't really ever be lonely. And I had my dog. I had the dog that we had.
Yeah.
He was like 5 or 6 at the time, so he still had half his life left.
Right.
And, he was my bestie, and so I was just like trying to do things, and then it really helped me, honestly, where I worked, my job, because there was a lot of people around my age and younger, and the group of people that I work with, I started forming like stronger connections, because when I was married, I was sort of in this world of like just him and I, and like our friends together, or his friends or his family,
right?
Because they were local, and so it was easier for us to hang out with them. To go from that to like, I didn't really have very many super close friends anymore.
Right.
I had a few that were, from my friendships that I grew up with in Santa Barbara.
Right.
But most of my other friends were in other places, let's say. And so my job, fortunately, I was able to form some connections, and, some that I still have very strong to this day, and that I travel with these girls. And like, it was a huge step for me, but I had to kind of like initiate.
I was curious,
really
like, how do you start that? You're like, hey, hi, we've been working together for years,
7 years,
but can we be friends? Like, seriously, how do you initiate it, and how did they let you in? Or
I think so. One in particular, who is like one of my very, very best friends, she seems a little stoic on the outside, but like, she's really very welcoming. And I think it was, I don't remember exactly what happened, but there was something that happened that we realized that we all kind of like country music.
Oh,
so there was this time that I was coming back from, I think I had gone home for lunch to let Kane out, and I was coming back to the office, and there was a group of like maybe 4 or 5 of them that were sitting out at the outside part of my office. And I was like, oh, this is happening at the country bar this weekend. Is anyone interested in going?
Wait, you said that? Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was something, and we ended up going to In Cahoots in Fullerton together and going dancing, and it was really fun. And then it just kind of, snowballed from there, and a little trip to Vegas happened, and then I was traveling with like a couple of them, and just sort of in that circle then, which was... It was so huge. Like, that was saved a lot. Oh my God.
You probably just felt so free at that time.
Yes, I did. And there was other, it was mostly my coworkers, and thank God for them. A few different groups, and, some of them lived by the beach in Newport, and we would just go out and have fun. And I felt like I was living my 25-year-old self again, kind of, because a lot of them were a little bit younger than me. I mean, maybe 5 to 10 years, let's say. And I had been married, and I had been sort of in this, like, caged life.
Oh, yeah. We know about the cage, you know? Yeah. We don't want to be in the cage.
And also because my ex-husband had a tendency to overindulge in alcohol, I was kind of, like, not really interested in that while we were together.
Right. That makes sense.
Because I would just see how he would get and his friends, and it was just, like, kind of off-putting to me at that time. So being free of that and, like, having friends that it was fun, and not that drinking is everything or, you know, whatever, but, like, it was fun to do that again.
Right.
And there was just a lot of those kind of things that were sort of, like, rediscovering the same things that were fun to me before. And they became fun again.
Yeah, no, that's really important. I feel like it happens more often than not that a lot of people, when they get into a relationship, or maybe the wrong relationship, they actually start to lose themselves, and they stop doing the things that they love. Yeah. And you kind of almost forget, like, wait, who am I? What do I like? Yeah. And what's going to make me happy now that I'm free? So I commend you for, like, just kind of getting out of the box, the comfort zone, and literally putting yourself out there.
Right.
Because that's scary.
It is.
A little bit, you know?
But also, I have so many interests, and I knew that something would lead to something. Yeah. You know, I love music, I love plants and gardening, and, like, you know, I love travel, so that was huge, and there was just a lot of things that came back, and you know, I found joy in.
Yeah.
Again.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I think that is so important is, you took the steps to find it. Yes. Because it wasn't really going to find you.
No. You know? No. I always find that meme funny about, like, meeting someone and sitting on your couch or something.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
How do you expect to meet someone when I'm sitting in my home?
Right. They're just going to magically float in, you know?
Yeah.
And,
but I wasn't the least bit interested in dating or anything for a long time.
Right.
In fact.
Well, no,
to this day, honestly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know. And I guess I've always admired the fact that I'm like, wow, you were just so content being single and, like, loving your life. And in, like, my perspective, I'm like, wow, like, how did she get there? And it's like you don't feel like you need another person to complete you.
Yeah. It was trauma. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it was instigated by trauma.
Right.
But, and there was a time, I would say, like, the first year or maybe to 2 years, that even though in reality I didn't want to be with someone again because I felt so good being free. Right. There was still that, like, oh, maybe, you know, I should be dating, or maybe like I do want someone to love again, or but it was this, like, dichotomy of I didn't really want that because I had felt so restricted by that relationship for so long. And then eventually I think with the help of, you know, the good girlfriends, my dog, my interests, I started being much more into fitness. Right. Within a couple years after we broke up. And so all those things fill my life, and I really don't feel like there's anything missing. Yeah. And I mean, I've said this to you before. I try to remain open to the possibility of that happening, because I acknowledge that there is a lot of growth that can happen with somebody, you know, in a romantic sort of relationship. It's just different than any other type of relationship. Right. But honestly, if it never happens again, I'm fine. I'm good. Right. I'm content.
Do you think your heart, though, is open to actually allow someone to love you in that regard?
That's a tough question, because I also feel like, you know, I was in a relationship. You knew him a little bit for about 1.5 years in the meantime. So that was the only one I've had. And when I met him, there was just something about him. He had this light. Yeah. And it hasn't happened since then.
Interesting.
And I feel like if that were to happen, if somebody just were to catch my attention that way and be a good compliment and be a good partner.
Right.
I mean, I like to think it's possible.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that I need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, how do you balance the two to just,
right.
Remain you and
it could be that I'm in complete denial and just really still traumatized. I don't know. But at least I'm happy. There's so many moments that I just feel just like my heart's just like gonna burst.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really, and I feel like it happens more now than ever before.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's just a new, like a better appreciation of things.
Right.
As you see more things. Like I've shared with you, a few of my family members and good friends have been sick, having cancers and things like that. And I think it's partly that I just have come against this new, like, live your life kind of motto and doing it. And so those things just make me so happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like life is so delicate, right? And we really never know. And especially when you are dealing with some very personal situations. And thank God they are still here, but it's like their lives have changed, right?
Yes.
And I think it gives you another appreciation for like really living your life now and being present, right? As opposed to like thinking back in the past and like, or thinking of the future of like, what if, or it's like, no, you're actually just like living now. And I think that's probably one of your biggest strengths is just being present and really enjoying what you have here right to this day.
Right. Yeah. I think that's what a good part of traveling does for you, because it takes you out of your
comfort
zone. Your little place, your home and whatnot. So you're forced to adapt to whatever's coming along in a new place and new people, probably new language and all that stuff. And or even, I mean, last 2 weekends, I was at some music festivals. And I just had several moments of just like, my heart was just so full.
Yeah.
And, whatever those moments are, we just need to find them and live in them and like remember them.
Embrace
because
them.
That's all we're going to have when we get older and can't travel or like if God forbid, if anything happens and, sick or hurt or can't do the things that we used to do or that we love to do, we will have those memories of those times and those feelings.
Yeah. But I have a feeling you're never really going to slow down in that department, just because you are living and thriving and making the most of your days and time and the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I don't know, I just find it so cool. When did you start traveling? Did you start traveling after the divorce or?
No, we actually, I think the first like international trip that I took, because my family didn't really travel that much when I was younger. We traveled around the U.S. a little bit. My grandparents had an RV that like they, after they sold their house and had a motorhome for a number of years. And so several times my sisters and mom and I traveled with them, driving across the states. And my mom's from Iowa, so we went to family reunions by driving like California, Arizona, New Mexico, like seeing all the things along the way. It was really cool.
Yeah.
But other than, we never did any international trips. When I was 16, I went to Germany. My dad is from Germany.
Okay.
And he still has some friends, and one of his friends has a daughter who is just about a year or so older than me. And she had come to visit us one summer, and then the next summer I went to visit them. And I stayed with them for, I think, almost a month. It was
Did you go by yourself then?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty cool at 16.
Yeah, so maybe that was what kind of like initiated my travel. But then, 16, then I graduated, then I kind of messed around for a few years, then I finally went to college. So you don't have money to travel.
Right.
Then I got a job, and you're the first couple years, you're like establishing yourself and gaining credibility and all those things. So I think it was 2005, I believe, that I went to Ireland. I just decided, it was my boyfriend at the time. We just decided to go to Ireland.
Wow.
So
okay.
we did. That was a fun trip.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just kind of always been maybe just an interest of mine to see other places and to travel. And even though I'm definitely, I love my home and like I love my things.
Yeah.
I also love adventure, and I enjoy traveling and having to figure things out. And eating new food, seeing new things, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I can relate to that for sure. But if you look back on all your like travel experiences, which one would you say made the most impact on you?
Oh, wow. Goodness. I mean, that's tough. Impact.
Like so many.
Well, I mean, there's places that are just so beautiful.
Right.
That I can see them in my head.
Yeah.
I mean, Santorini, Greece is one that I was just obsessed with. It's just this little, what do you call it? The little, I don't remember the geology of it, and then there's a volcano in the middle.
Oh.
So it's this Santorini and I guess there's like 3 little cities on Santorini. And there's like the white buildings, and then the water is so blue. It's just incredible. And then in the middle, there's this volcano. And geology was one of my favorite classes in college, like my elective classes. And I was just obsessed with this volcano. And we got to ride a boat out there and like swim near it and stuff, because there's like hot springs kind of out there.
Yeah, that's wild.
So that was something that I really remember. And then, I mean, most vivid in my head at this moment is my recent trip to Thailand for my sister's 40th birthday. And there was just some moments that were so magical of, like, out on the water. We did snorkeling with these little bioluminescent algae that were just like little fireflies in the water. And just, those kind of moments are the ones that stick with you. And that's why I went.
Right.
I decided with 2 weeks notice to join their Thailand.
No, I love that,
trip.
but it's your whole motto of like, why not? Right.
Yes.
And just live your life
100%.
and enjoy it with the people you care about.
Yes. Make the memories.
So I thought you were going to maybe see Machu Picchu for your 4-day hike, because that like pushed you to the limit.
Yes. But well, obviously that was honestly, Peru was probably top 3 trips in my life also. So now I have to reshuffle because Thailand's new.
Right.
But it was
it's
always
like top of mind.
It was always like Greece and Peru, and then like 3, there's a couple tied for third place. But yeah, Peru was amazing. I mean, and that hike is very hard.
Right. I probably wouldn't have survived
very, very
the
hard.
altitude.
So don't let the moderate hiking. Like but if you really want to do it, you can. There was a woman in the group that was affiliated with the group that I was with, but we were kind of separated. It was the same company, but they had several groups going up. And there was a woman, I think she just had her 60th birthday.
Wow.
And she wanted to do that hike as like, a bucket list kind of thing.
Good for her.
And every day we would pass her on the trail because she would just go at her own pace.
Okay.
And sometimes the little porters had to carry her back, her pack for her.
Okay.
But I mean, she was not decrepit, but she wasn't in the best shape.
Yeah.
But she wanted to do it. And when we got up to the viewpoint at Machu Picchu on that last day, and she comes walking up, everyone is clapping for her. Oh my
God, that makes me...
I know. It was, she was crying, and like, because she did it. So you can do it if you want to, but it is very hard. And I'm in good shape.
No, and you're in great shape, and it was really hard.
But it was a life-changing trip for sure.
Wow. But I just think kind of the overall theme with travel is like anywhere you go, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's going to change your life if you allow it, right? Yes. And you're open to the experiences.
Yes. Yeah. And anywhere you travel can be home too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I can be at home anywhere in the world, which is really a cool thing to
That
be
is
able to say.
Really cool thing, because I know how much you do love your home as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. but you like kind of figured it out because you have your, you have your dog sitters to watch your son, and you have your core group of friends that a lot of times you travel with, or you've gone alone too, right?
Yeah.
So you're still living life. You don't need a boyfriend. You don't need a husband to go travel with.
Right.
So, hey, if you're single, don't wait. Just go. Go travel.
Do the things.
Live your life. Enjoy. Meet people, right? Take it all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, another thing that like fascinates me about you is you've been with your company for what, 20 years or 22? 22 years.
22 years.
And it's definitely like a corporate job,
and
you have
corporate.
a bit of a fancy-ish title, and you're quite the smarty pants. So it's crazy because, people think maybe corporate people, like, they don't have all this, like, ooh, like, kind of life.
Yeah.
But how did you break free from, like, the corporate life, yet you're still living it to make a living? But how are you finding freedom in other ways besides travel, of course, and like the gym and your dog, but like what are ways that you incorporate, I guess, your uniqueness into your life with not letting your job define you?
It's, it's always a process. There have definitely been ebbs and flows in feeling caged by the job, by the corporate world. And I think a lot of it is just perspective, because if we allow ourselves to feel like we have to fit into a box, then that's going to be restrictive.
Yeah.
And my freedom is one of the most important things to me.
Right.
And being able to find ways to feel free in a job like that, it's been a struggle sometimes. Yeah. There have been a couple of times that I thought about leaving. Probably only two that I can really think of. One was just after a really rough year end, because we do a lot of planning at year end for, our clients. And it was just after I had been working a lot of hours, and it just kind of all, my personal life had just like deteriorated, and my house was a mess and everything. And I just was like, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was at the end of 2018, I believe.
Oh.
No, 2017. 2017, I was like, I was kind of done at that point.
Wow.
But
I guess what got you back on track then? Like,
you want to know what got me back on track? So on New Year's Day of 2018, so this had been like, I was having my little meltdown in December of 2017. I was still with the guy that he was obviously very understanding. He's like one of the most empathetic and kindest people there are.
Yeah, he's really sweet.
On New Year's Day of 2018, I went to a yoga class.
Okay.
And it was one of our favorite mentors.
Yeah.
His class. And it was a great class, and I came out, he was at the desk, and he kind of looks at me and he goes, "Have you ever thought about doing yoga teacher training?" And I was like, "Not really." He's like, "You should consider it." And I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "When is it?" And he says, mid-February to mid-April. And I do tax as part of my job, and so literally that is tax season. So at first I was like, oh, there's no effing way that I can do that. And it's, 3 hours, 2 nights a week, and then 3 hours on Saturday, so 9 hours a week basically of class, and then you also have to do your hours of taking classes.
Right.
And so I was just like, okay, no, I think that's impossible. And then as like a few days went by, and I was like, maybe that's what I'm looking for.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it just kind of like clicked.
It came in like like that way. It was like, I need something that I love to take me away from feeling smothered by this job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
But did you love yoga then? Did you love it?
I loved it. Yeah. I did love it. I really honestly had never thought about teaching though.
Right.
And so him saying that, first of all, I was like, oh, well, he thinks I could teach. Like, great. Awesome.
Right.
I mean, I didn't think that I couldn't, because I've always been I've always been fine with like standing in front of people and talking and presenting things. And obviously I love yoga. So I was like, okay, well that could combine, I guess.
Yeah.
And, but it was more about having another obligation, but something that I wanted to do.
Right.
To take me away from just getting sucked into sitting in front of my computer.
Oh, gosh.
For 60 plus hours a week
during
tax
goodness.
season.
Yeah.
And so within probably a week, I was like, I think I could maybe do this. And I talked to my boss, of course, and he's always, and thank God for him too. Like, honestly, he's been just amazing for my whole career. I've worked for him almost the whole time that I've been at my job.
I think you're so fortunate.
I am fortunate.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it wasn't for him, I probably would have left both times, actually.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, and he was like, whatever you need to do to feel better at work and better in your life. And so
that's a really good boss. Mm-hmm. That's amazing, though. Yeah. Especially like a high-end job like that, for them to support you, like that's kind of unheard of. That's an anomaly, I feel.
So grateful. There should be more like him.
Because I feel like most would be like, are you sure this is the right time to do this?
Yeah.
You know, we need you in at 100%. And, but wow, he's a really good boss.
He trusts me. And obviously I had been with him for almost 15 years at that point. So he has a level of trust and confidence in me being able to do my job. And I think he just thought like that I would figure it out.
Right.
And I did.
And you did.
It was hard. It was a little rough sometimes.
Yeah.
Because normally I would have been working Saturdays in the office and like I was now in class with you all.
I know. That's how we met.
Yes, indeed.
Matt's line to me was, did I tell you this?
Maybe.
Do you want to change your life?
Oh. Well, you could have said that to me,
or something to that extent, like, this will change your life. And at the same time, too, I think I was struggling, you know, and I'm like, I do need something to change my life. Mm-hmm. And I think that was really the start of my yoga journey, of diving deeper and really looking at things from another perspective.
Right.
But it brought us together.
Yeah, and it brought a lot of relationships, actually. I mean, I'm still in touch with at least a handful of the other girls, and a few of them did go on to teach places, and so I went to their classes, and it was a really good step. Right. And meanwhile, I haven't ever had a job teaching yoga yet. But I, within the last year and a half, did bring it into my workplace.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I've been doing once a month office yoga, which is mostly just seated or standing. It's not with mats. It's not, in the outfits and whatever else, but people really like it. And I and I don't get paid, obviously. It's just something that I wanted to bring into my life a little bit more. And I also wanted to share it with the people that I work with, because one, I think they all need it. Yeah. And some of the ones that don't come are the ones that need it the most. Right. And, but like, I love to be able to share that, and also to be able to practice, because now who knows where that could lead. Right. And part of the reason that I haven't taken a job teaching yoga anywhere is because I don't want another obligation. I don't want it to feel like something that I have to do.
That you have to do, yeah.
It should be something that I love to do. But I think eventually it could morph into, committing to something somewhere. Yeah. And actually, even just this morning in my gym that I go to, there's a guy that goes to the same class most days, and he was kind of stretching afterwards. He kind of copies what I'm doing afterwards to stretch. And so we were talking about yoga, and he says, you should bring a yoga class to the 12. And I was like, huh. And then it turns out we were talking to some of the coaches, and they said, we used to have somebody that did a flow on Sundays, and I thought, interesting. Huh. So who knows where that.
And that was this morning.
That was this morning.
Well, it's interesting how things get presented. Totally. And it's our job to like pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. And if we still have that nudge, it's like, okay, well, let's go take the action. Yeah.
Yes. And so now the wheels are turning a little bit. Yeah. Like, how would that work? Could it work?
I mean, you could do like one class a week, possibly.
Maybe.
If you want, or you could try it out.
Yeah.
You know? I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even with you bringing it to your workplace, like you've helped more people than you probably even realize.
Yes.
And they probably look forward to it every month. So don't stop.
No, I don't plan to. I have it all scheduled for the next 3 months.
Wow.
Dates for that. And then hopefully I will, because I was supposed to do a full session at the beach for the Women's Network at my office, and the weather was just garbage, and so we didn't end up doing it.
Right.
But that will be rescheduled for
it.
like later in the summer probably. But yeah, I was looking, and then I got into practicing that whole flow again.
So you like have it in you.
It's in here.
See, you already have the flow ready. You just gotta get it out there, you know? I know, it's been in the back of my mind too. And it's like, maybe, one day. I mean, I practice like 5 or 6 times a week, but who knows?
Yeah.
I think we both will eventually.
I think so too.
In some regard.
Maybe together somehow.
Maybe, you know. But yeah, another thing that I don't know, I find really fascinating, and you're my little counselor when it comes to astrology.
Oh, yes.
And you taught me about the big 3. And first of all, how'd you get started into that? And maybe just like a quick intro on like what the big 3 means for our audience to maybe dive deeper into themselves to learn more about how they are.
Yes. So I have since I can remember, I was always kind of interested in astrology, and I started buying some books and things like that probably when I was like late teens.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I've had, one of the big books. It's like the only astrology book you'll ever need or something. I've had with that for so many years. And then of course along the way I've gotten more and more specific ones about like transits and moon signs in particular, or like other things. And so it's just been one of those interests, and I really find it valuable in kind of getting to know someone a little bit more, or understanding someone better that I already know.
Right.
If I know their chart, some things make a lot more sense.
Or when your friends start dating someone, you're like, find out what they are. Let's look them up, see if you're compatible.
Yeah. Yes. So the big 3 are, so your birth chart is basically looks like a wheel.
Yeah.
And there's 12 signs total. They approximate to a month, but it's not exact. It's usually like around the 20th of a month to around the 20th of the next month is a sun sign.
Yeah.
So most people know their sun sign, right? But each planet and each celestial body was in a certain spot at the time of your birth, and the certain sign. And so those different planets in those places, in the signs, can contribute to a lot of the motivations that you might have, or the way that you react to things, or, some of the relationship issues that you're maybe prone to, or just the ways that you think. And so the big 3 are generally accepted as the most influential parts of your chart, which are your sun sign, which is, most people know what their sun sign is because it's where the sun was at the time of your birth. Your moon sign, which is where the moon was, but the moon changes signs very frequently, so it's about every 2.5 days. So that's a lot more variable. And then the third one is your ascending sign, which is where the sun was located in the sky, which sign it was in. And so that changes every 24 hours. So each sign has about 2 hours of what was your ascendant. So if you, for example, if you're born at sunrise, your sun sign is the same as your ascendant, because the sun is coming up right there.
Oh, wow. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So your sun sign is kind of like your basic true nature, the way that you, move about the world, the way that you feel most at home, I guess you could say. your moon sign is more your intuition, your reactions, the way that you reflect on things, what makes you feel safe. Mm-hmm. And then your ascendant sign is kind of what you present to the world. Okay. So you can think of I think of the ascending sign as what's on stage. Right?
I see.
It's sometimes what people might guess you are who don't really know you that well just by your outward appearance. So for example, my ascending sign is Aries, which is a more outgoing, it's like a fire sign. And my sun sign is Taurus, which is a more grounding. It's like a grounding sign. So if I'm meeting somebody, they might see either of those people. Yeah. Those people.
That's true.
Someone who knows me better could maybe guess my moon sign. Moon signs are like, people don't really see it, but it's more like esoteric. It's more like what's going on inside.
Yeah. Well, I think that like for people to really know you, mm-hmm. they will know your moon sign. Yes. Because it's almost like, you're right. That's the emotions. Yes. And just how mine's Scorpio, most people would not think that, but if you know me, you get it. You're like, oh, okay.
Yes. And my moon sign is Aquarius, so that's even more like kind of a wild card thrown in there, because Aquarius is feels safest with freedom.
And that's my rising.
Yes, right. And so that's why that's why I can feel very caged by things, or because I don't feel safe unless I have freedom.
Aquarius is the most drawn to freedom. Yes. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So
I'm free bird. Interesting.
Yeah.
Don't cage me.
short little astro.
So look it up. I mean, I find it fascinating. Yeah. There's an app that I use. It's super easy. It's called The Pattern. But if you know where you were born and what time you were born, you can just plug it in, and I mean, it's free. Or you could ask ChatGPT or Google it or something. Yeah.
And I also find it interesting to be able to, like, I look up I don't know my boss's time of birth, but then, so the only thing I don't know is his ascendant, but I can guess.
Maybe you should ask him,
his sun and his moon. And even just those two things are very helpful to be able to deal with people.
Right.
Especially, like, if you know their moon sign. Yeah. That's like something that not everyone else can know.
Right.
And I've even looked it up for some clients, because I think that if I know certain things about what makes them feel safe, how they might react to certain things, it helps me frame financial issues in a different way.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they know that you're doing this?
No.
Oh, no.
No, it's just like a little insight that I might have that may or may not be on target. You never know. Because obviously there's other influences in your personality.
Exactly.
That astrology, there's all your experiences and things like that. But I feel like it can give a little bit of insight if you don't know somebody, or even if you do.
Yeah, like take it with a grain of salt, but I feel like it's actually pretty accurate for the most part, which is very scary in a weird way, but very fascinating at the same time. Yeah. I know, I think back to even people, you've done it for me, and you're just like, okay, well, make sure, for this person, you know.
It can help with, like, pre-identifying potential pitfalls in things, or like how to interact with somebody.
Or how to work through it, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I find that so fascinating.
Yeah.
So I know we're talking a lot of fun and lightness and all that too, but I know you have gone through a little bit of rough spots when it came to like personal relationships. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to like put a downer on anything, but I want to like life is real and nothing's sunny like all the time, even after you broke free from your divorce. Mm-hmm. There's been a few like ups and downs, and I guess it's like, how have you learned to just like let go? It's almost like the Mel Robbins theory of like let them, and how, I guess I'm interested in like how you have just like let people or things that don't serve you just go because they weren't serving you anymore. Yeah. And not that it was bad, but it just stopped serving you.
Right.
Do you remember like how you kind of just like put peace in your heart to really like let it go and keep your shiny Aries, rising sign,
I I do think that it comes with living longer and having more experiences and going through those experiences that show you what is important to you. Mm-hmm. It's easier then to walk away from things that aren't, I think.
Right.
COVID times were really rough for me.
Right.
And I was isolated and abandoned by several friends and my company, to be honest. So the choices that I was making didn't fall in line with what some of people that I was close to expected or wanted, or whatever that was. But I knew there was no other way for me to move through life other than being true to what I've believed in my heart. Right. And I was more shocked and disillusioned by the way that everyone else was acting and just jumping on this bandwagon of, a solution that really wasn't, and was like scary. But I think that I realized through those years, and even, in the more recent last few months, if there's a condition on one of my friend or family's love for me, if there's like something that I have to do or some way that I have to act or some, condition that doesn't belong to me, I'm okay with that relationship just going away because I'm not interested in people that want me to be a certain way, and that's not myself. Right. And if that's how they want to move through life with these conditions on their love, more power to them and God bless. But for me, I just can't. It just doesn't make any sense to keep those kind of people in my life who don't really want me in their life. Right. Unless I do X, Y, and Z. But or think also, X, Y, and Z. It just doesn't, that's not how life is. Right. People you either accept someone or you don't accept someone. And if you don't accept someone, then you don't need to be friends with them. And you don't have to pretend or you don't have to force things. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. And I think as we get older, we get better, wiser. Yes. But you almost you disattach, you detach from certain things because you're like, I can't force them to like me. Yeah. Nor do I want to. And it kind of maybe is sad when something starts to fade or end. But at the end of the day, you're like, well, if they don't love me for me, then it is what it is. Yeah. And there's plenty of people that do, Mm-hmm. So it's like I believe surrounding yourself with the people who are going to lift you up, right? And encourage you, inspire you, and cheerlead for you rather than the ones who are going to put you down. 100%. Yeah. And why fill your time? Time is precious. Yeah. And so why fill your time with people that aren't true friends or, that don't truly love and believe in you? Right. What? Why? I think these are life lessons a little bit. Sure. And the older we get and when you kind of hit into your 40s, I think you start to realize what's important. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's interesting how different decades are different and the shoulds and the societal standards. But I do think there's a real turning point when you hit 40. I do too. And you start to kind of let go of all the bullshit, for real. Mm-hmm. I know things have changed for me since I hit 40 and looking at things differently. But yeah, I do just think age we just get wiser. I agree. And I'm borderline on the next. Yeah, I was going to ask that, but okay, so it was your birthday the other weekend. My birthday last week. And you said you were entering your 50th year, which I thought, well, first of all, hello, she looks fabulous. You would never even think that. But I'm like, why? Why would you rush to 50? Yeah. Why are you saying 50? You're still 49. Why would you say it's the 50th year? So even with that said, going into your
50th. Oh my God, that's crazy to say.
I know.
What are some of your thoughts, I guess, on life and moving forward, or what you're bringing into this, like, I would say your last year in your 40s, but you call it your first year in your 50s, which
when you're born, you're not one. You live 1 year and then you turn one.
Yeah,
right?
but
so
let's
like,
okay, whatever.
Halfway to 98, right?
Oh my God, ew. But you're gonna still be like thriving and laughing.
I
you know?
intend to.
Yeah.
So yes, sorry. What was the question?
No, I mean, I love that you embrace your age.
Yes.
And you don't try to, like, hide it.
Right.
And you, like, some women, I mean, I used to be like, I'm not going to tell you my age. Like,
and 40 was rough for you.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
Still weird being in the 40s, but it's like, hey, let's just embrace it because now...
there's no alternative.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're here and, like, might as well feel like I look great for my age rather than, like, thinking I'm younger, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But age is a weird thing, especially for women.
I agree.
Because I think the standard of beauty and just like all these expectations.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to my 50s.
Wow.
I mean, I don't like want to rush anything, obviously. I did just turn 49.
Literally, like
actually today was my due date.
Due date?
My due So May 1st.
When you were supposed to be born.
May 1st is my grandma's birthday.
Okay.
Was my grandma's birthday. And it was actually, I was supposed to be born on May 1st, but I took 10 days in advance.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I look forward to the next decade because I feel like I've changed so much in this 40s decade.
Yeah.
And so much better. From my hair and just accepting aging, but like also I think that health is just so important. So if you're healthy, you're going to look better.
Yeah.
You're going to feel better. You're going to still be able to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I feel, in fact, I probably feel better now than I did at like 25, honestly.
Right.
In my body, I'm stronger.
Yeah.
I'm just more emotionally like settled.
Yeah.
Happier. I would never want to go back to that.
Right.
I would never want to go back. That's for sure.
So you 25-year-olds, just wait till you're 40. You're going to just be a whole new person.
It was funny because I was at Stagecoach, I was in a line to get into this, like, the honky tonk, which they were playing, like, EDM music.
Oh, really?
And this
funny.
girl in front of me, she was probably in her early 20s or something. She's like, oh, so you like EDM? And I'm like, yes, I do. She's like, oh, who's your favorite? She was kind of being nice, but I kind of felt like she was, being like, what is this, like, chick with silver hair doing in this line to go see Diplo? And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, wow, like, I used to go to raves in the 90s, and, like, those are memories that I would never want to replace with anything. Like, that was like true underground electronic music.
That's awesome.
And, I didn't really say much. I was just like, oh yeah, I enjoyed Diplo. I was like, here last week at Coachella, I watched, Above and Beyond is like, so good. All these things. And she's just like, oh, I love that for you. And I'm like,
I love that for you. I love that for you.
I know, because I felt like it was a little bit of a dig, but maybe that was just how I received it. Maybe she did really love it for me. I don't know. But it's like, I love all the life that I've lived and all the experiences that I have and the memories that I have, and I only like think that it's going to be better. Right. As long as I stay healthy and like that's just the key, I think, in my opinion. Yeah. And so my hair, like, I started I think it was 2019 when I started letting it grow out. But I had been thinking about it for like a couple of years before that. And I was on a little weekend trip with some girlfriends in like Havasu or something. Yeah. And I saw this woman just from afar, and she had silver hair and her eyes were blue, but she had just beautiful skin. Right. She was probably in her maybe like late, probably my age now. Yeah. This was like 7 years ago. And I was like, wow, she's really, really pretty, like really beautiful. And I was like, can I do that? Could I do that?
Right.
Because I have this streak that became very, very hard to cover. Like this streak right here, my mom had the same thing. It's called a melon streak.
Wow.
And so trying to cover that with a dark color.
Right.
I like get PTSD when I like see some of the things that I used to do, like the spray and just it was just awful.
Right.
So at some point I was just like, you know what? I am just done. I don't want to hide it anymore. Like, who am I hiding it from? Like, who am I really doing that for?
Right. You're right.
And when I was like in my late 30s, early 40s, it was kind of just like, oh, you cover it up. Like, I didn't really ever think about it that much until it really started to become brighter and harder to cover.
When did you get it, though? How old were you when it started showing up?
Probably like 35.
Okay.
And then I think my divorce at like 38, 39 was like really what like made it brighter. But I was still trying to cover it for like several years after that. And so I think I was like 42, 43 when I just made the decision and I said, I just can't do that anymore. Like, I don't want to. It was expensive. It was like a pain in the butt. And then honestly, like when you try to cover a light, like white silver with a dark brown, it just doesn't look good anymore, in my opinion. And I believe that also your coloring kind of changes and it's just not cute. So I really am like happy with my decision. Yeah. And now it's fully grown out. Obviously, it's been, I think it was 2019, was 6 years ago that I like, stopped coloring it.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that had to feel like you were breaking free.
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh, yeah. I was in like some beauty store the other day and I like passed this shelf with the spray that I used to use for the root cover. And I was like, oh, that was just so awful.
Oh.
And I really liked how it grew out,
too.
It's
pretty.
I mean, I really think it looks pretty.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people think you're, like, letting yourself go or whatever, but, you know, and obviously some days I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, I look 100.
But your face doesn't, your body doesn't,
true,
you know?
True.
Yeah.
But also I feel like sometimes if you're just like in a scuzzy mood and don't want to do yourself up, you could think that at yourself.
At any.
If my hair was brown, I would probably still be like, ooh, I look like crap today or whatever.
Or you didn't get enough sleep and you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
like,
so
what
it's
is
just
this?
a matter of like, if you take care of yourself, if you know, take care of your appearance and your health.
Yeah.
Very much important.
Because, I mean, my mom always said, like, age is just a number. Mm-hmm. Like, it really is just a number. So we shouldn't let it define, like, how active we are or what our health standards should be, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's just like, stay healthy, embrace your age for whatever age you're at, and just be, like, the best version of yourself, right?
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Sis. Man. Sis. No, I just love your outlook. Like, really. It's really infectious, you know? And I think the more you just keep doing you know?
Yeah.
It's like that ripple effect. Other people will see it and they're like, what is she doing? Why is she so, like, happy? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a light, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, like, this sort of platform, I mean, maybe no one cares. Maybe we're just like chatting to each other right now, but that's okay. But maybe if one person hears any of this, it's and like wants to make some sort of change or isn't happy with something that they're doing, and maybe just like hearing other people how they discovered, you know, what brings them joy or what, like, you know, how to age more gracefully or whatever they say. And, that would be amazing. And I don't even need to know about it. I'm just like sharing.
Well, and that's kind of my why behind this, you know, and I'm letting go of perfection or the outcomes or how many likes or views I get because it is what it is. Like, if one person takes something from one of my episodes, then hey, like, I feel like I'm doing my duty, and the people I bring on inspire me. So I think that maybe you guys inspire others, right?
Yeah. It's a great way to look at it.
So, you know, we'll see where this all goes. Yeah. But I guess to kind of like wrap this up, like what would be your final like words of wisdom, advice, like from all the years you've lived and everything that you've gone through? Like, what would be your advice to maybe some young women, or put yourself in your own shoes when you were 29. This is how I want to phrase it. You are giving your 29-year-old self a little pep talk or a little love letter.
Okay.
What would you say to her?
I would say pay more attention to your intuition, because, you know, it is a little hard to determine sometimes if something that you're feeling is intuition or if it's fear, right? But intuition is more of a body sense, I think.
Yes.
Fear is more in your head. So it's
I like that.
Yeah, so I think if you can trust your body more, but with that being said, goes to my second point, which is your health is just so much more important than probably we all even know.
Right.
I believe 100% that emotions have a part in disease. I believe that, our nutrition, our movement, all those things have a part in why people get diseases of any sort. And so if you can do everything in your power to make those little changes to improve your health, make sure that you're moving every day, I think that is going to definitely lessen the chances of you being debilitated or even just like restricted by any sort of health issue. So I think that, at 29, I was like, running because cardio was supposed to be healthy at that time. And
right.
So I think that like eating better, lifting weights, doing some yoga, doing some slower mornings of like not just like rushing and getting into work and doing all those things, while that has its place and time, it can't be all the time because you just deplete yourself. So that's basically it. Intuition and health. I think those are my two big lessons from like this past decade at least. And
I love that. So to nutrition and health and intuition, let's fly. Let's fly, Freebird. Oh, and it's only tea because we're so good. Cheers, Cheers. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Let's go spread your wings. Fly, everybody. Thanks. Hi, guys. It's me, Katie. Thank you so much for listening. I am so excited to announce that I am launching Fly Free Bird one-on-one coaching, designed to help you break free, rediscover joy, and simplify your life so you can live more authentically. If you're feeling the pull, I'd love to connect. DM me on Instagram at flyfreebirdpodcast or email me at flyfreebirdpodcast@gmail.com for more information. Make it a beautiful day, keep shining your light, and let's fly.